You're watching day 2 of our NBA free agency coverage at Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. And today's show is presented by Aura. Stay secure online with Aura. They're going to monitor all online activity, financial fraud protection, a bunch of other stuff as well. Try a 14-day free trial today at aura.com/chatsports. That link's in the comments. It's in the description. We'll tell you a little bit more about those guys later on. Chase, a lot of big-name free agents have gone off the board, but certainly some players still left to break down here, including James Harden. All signs point to him re-signing in Philadelphia. A report from Thursday that he's going to meet with the Sixers brass this weekend.
Yeah, he decided to opt out of his $47 million player option to give the Philadelphia 76ers some more flexibility to bring in P.J. Tucker. They signed Daniel House, traveling Queen as well. And I think that's a good move for James Harden if he wants to chase that sought-after first championship, which would really add to his resume as one of the best offensive players of all time and one of the best players of all time. So he's going to meet with this boy Daryl Morey over the weekend, and I think he's going to opt in on a short-term deal. That's everything that's pointing in that direction, that it's going to be a short-term deal between, let's say, $30 and $40 million.
DeAndre Ayton, the top restricted free agent, as I think things are going to potentially take longer for him for a potential Kevin Durant sign-and trade. That could be in the works here, Chase. But obviously, one of the better bigs in the NBA. I'd say he's in that tier 2 of centers in the National Basketball Association.
I agree, and I don't think that it's a sure thing that DeAndre Ayton in this game is flattened out. I think that there is a better player in there. I think he can continue to improve. I don't think that he should be the focal point on a championship-level team. I thought his role with Phoenix was good, but I'd also like to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I'd like to see him get after a little bit more on both ends of the floor. We're talking about a guy who has this athleticism at 6'11", 250 pounds, has a nice little mid-range game, but has less than a block per game last year. He can be better on both ends, and I want to see him insert his physical dominance because I truly believe that he has the ability to take over games more so. Also of note, according to reports out there, Brooklyn Nets not interested in acquiring him in a Kevin Durant trade. The Suns right now even money to land KD. The Brooklyn Nets can also not trade for Devin Booker because he signed that max deal while on his rookie contract. Same thing with Bam Adebayo.
Miles Bridges, Chase, who looks like is in some big trouble. Felony domestic violence charge. His wife posted some pictures on social media. She sent some to TMZ as well. Obviously, a lot of moving parts here, Chase. I think it's safe to say he's not going to sign for a while. I mean, no one's going to sign him while he's got a felony domestic violence charge, at least in my opinion. That is obviously going to have to play out over time, but not looking good for Mr. Bridges right now.
No, and on the eve of him getting paid potentially $25 to $30 million per year, this happens, he gets arrested, and if you saw the pictures of his wife, it's ugly. It's an egregious thing no matter what if you decide to assault any female out there. And it's an awful move and an all-time fumble that now overtakes Dennis Schroder for the worst passing up of the bag that we've ever seen in NBA history. NBA spokesman Mike Bass on Miles Bridges, quote, "We are in the process of gathering more information. His next court date is July 20th. Miles Bridges, he's a fraud. He's a stiff. He cost himself a lot of money. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he doesn't play at all this upcoming year, depending on what happens with the legal situation."
And look, I mean, if he's found guilty and these accusations are true, he shouldn't play in the NBA again. So that's just the reality of the situation. We'll see.
His rap career, it ain't getting off to a good start either.
No, it's not looking good. Who is the best free agent left? I'll probably taking Harden out of it because I think he's back to Philly. I'll say DeAndre Ayton.
I'm with you.
Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. I also really like Collin Sexton, Chase, and the reports are all over the place with him. Shams Charania reported last week when he was cleared for basketball activities that he could make up to $20 million per year. At least that's what he's seeking. I saw a report this morning, 10 to 12 million is more realistic. If it's 10 to 12, that's an absolute steal.
It is.
And I think the Cavs would bring him back for sure at that price. He could be one of those guys that waits a little while to see if that price can go up a little bit on the open market.
I really liked him coming out of Alabama. Don't look at the numbers from last year. He barely played 16 points per game. I think you really have to look at what he did in 2019-20 as well as 2020-2021 when he was pretty consistently available during some of those COVID-shortened seasons. Those two seasons nearly 21 points per game, 24 points per game, respectively, 38% from three and 37% from distance. So Collin Sexton is a really good player, an elite athlete who can really wow you going from baseline to baseline in transition, can create off the bounce. I think that he would be awesome alongside Luka Doncic to fill the void of losing Jalen Brunson.
In his career, Sexton's a 20-point scorer, 38% three-point guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those guys don't grow on trees. TJ Warren, who was lighting it up in the bubble, and since then we just haven't seen much of him, Chase. He's still out there, 6'8", 220. I think he's kind of on the Oladipo path where he's probably missed the time where he's going to get a big contract, but I think if healthy, this could be a guy that chips in 15 points per game for somebody.
Oh, I totally agree. TJ Warren had a great run from 2017 through the NBA bubble. And if you remember in the bubble,
he was unbelievable.
This guy was a legend. He was a walking
50-piece games, dude.
He was a threat to score the basketball as soon as he crossed half court. Now, the problem for him and why he might not make that much money this upcoming year, it might be a short-term deal. And if that's the case and he's healthy, he could really help a playoff team with some scoring punch off the bench or even as a starter. It's that he hasn't played the last couple of years, and nagging foot injury is a little bit of a concern there. But when right, this guy, he can find twine from anywhere.
Thanks to Aura for sponsoring today's show. They offer financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, overall online and device security. Your social media accounts, keep those passwords safe. Online banking, shopping, Amazon accounts, all that stuff. Hackers are everywhere. Millions and millions and millions of people are getting hacked every single year. Aura is going to monitor all of that online activity and keep you safe. We do more than ever online, and a lot of you guys do as well. Check them out. 14-day free trial, aura.com/chatsports. Family plans up to 5 people. If you got grandma and grandpa, want to get them on the plan. They're the most vulnerable to hackers, believe me. I think my grandmother's Facebook's been hacked about 10 times by now. So aura.com/chatsports. Link in the comments, in the description. Stay secure online with Aura. Okay, Donte DiVincenzo is still hanging out there. 9 points last year. Didn't have the most efficient season, but I think a guy that could come off a team's bench.
Yeah, if you remember a couple years ago when Villanova made that NCAA tournament run, they won a national championship. DiVincenzo's stock in the NCAA tournament, it really just took off. It skyrocketed, as you just said. And at the NBA level, after being a first-round pick, a guy who could, at the college level, hit threes, really good defensive player, very good athlete, he hasn't really tapped into his fullest potential. This is another player who's still young. You can get him on a bargain deal, in my opinion. For a playoff-level team, I think he's a wonderful part of your rotation, probably as a bench guy, maybe as a spot starter. If he can become more of a consistent outside shooter, Donte DiVincenzo can be a problem because on top of if he's able to improve in that area offensively, he's already a really good defensive player. Another one of those guys that I just think there's a better player in there, and I'm waiting for him to break out. He's one of my breakout candidates for this upcoming season.
Kevon Looney, who I don't want to say broke out, but had a really good playoff run for the Warriors this year. They would like to bring him back. The Athletic reported last night that they could lose him, Golden State being they. We'll see. Maybe after losing Gary Payton, the Warriors are willing to shelve out a little more money to get Kevon Looney back because they've already lost Otto Porter and Gary Payton. You lose Kevon Looney, too. That's 3 legitimate rotation players that Golden State has lost if that ends up being the case.
It really all comes down to money. They are in the tax very heavy because of the max contracts paid to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. And if you lose Kevon Looney, on top of Otto Porter Jr., who signed with the Toronto Raptors, as well as Gary Payton II, getting more than $9 million per year over 3 years with the Portland Trail Blazers, are they letting those guys walk? 1, because they're too expensive. 2, they have some other plans in mind, like extending Andrew Wiggins going into the final year of his deal. Jordan Poole is eligible for an extension. He could make $20 to $25 million per year,
maybe
especially
more,
after what Anthony Simons was able to get from the Trail Blazers yesterday. So I think that's the thought process. Looney could demand $10 to $11 million for a guy who's won 4 rings, is a very good championship-level player, was awesome rebounding the basketball all throughout the playoffs, and adding to the culture for a team that needs that jolt. He can certainly give that to you.
How about Dennis Schroder? There's been no conversation around him, but I thought he played really well for Boston. Didn't do as much for the Rockets because they were playing younger guys, but he was pretty solid for the season, to the point where I was kind of surprised when they traded him at the deadline. Obviously, things worked out. They made a run in the finals, but I still think as a team's backup primary ball handler, as a combo guard off the bench, he can give you 12 to 15 fairly efficient points.
Yeah, his best role is as a sixth man.
Yes.
And throughout his entire NBA career, whether it was with the Atlanta Hawks, Oklahoma City Thunder, he is best as a sixth man. Now, the big question with Dennis Schroder, is he a winning player? There's been a lot of chatter about him not really getting along with guys in the locker room and him not willing to make the necessary sacrifices to play a winning style of basketball. And for Boston, that's why they shipped him away. Now, I'm not sure where he goes. Obviously, he fumbled the bag last offseason after not signing that extension with the Los Angeles Lakers. $5.9 million in base salary last year as compared to $80+ million that he could have signed from LA. We'll see what he gets on that contractual number this year.
Shout out your favorite team and grade their moves so far in free agency, A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know in the comments as we continue to break down a few more free agents. How about Jalen Smith? We'll spend a little less time on these last few. Chase, we get a little deeper into the pool here. 9-6 last year.
Yeah, former first-round pick out of Maryland who hasn't quite lived up to those expectations. Kind of a bad draft pick for Phoenix at the time because they brought him in when they already had DeAndre Ayton.
Caleb Martin, who I kind of like. I feel like every time he plays, he kind of lights it up.
Yeah.
You see the field goal percentage there, over 50%. He can shoot it from outside as well. I think coming off the bench, 12 to 15 minutes a game, he can contribute.
Got some pretty good playoff minutes for Miami last year, all the way en route to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I like him. I like his brother, too, but I'd probably go with Caleb instead. Both came into the league playing with the Charlotte Hornets. That's where Cody played this past year. But the Martin brothers at Nevada, great NCAA tournament run, really fun to watch, and it's been cool to see them have success at the NBA level.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Montrezl Harrell as well. He's a very specific player. You got to have the right guard to play with him. But if you find that, like when he was with Lou Williams, he was incredible. I think he played pretty well with LaMelo Ball in comparison to the Lakers the year before. That did not work out.
Yeah.
But as a roller, a guy who can finish around the basket, coming off the bench as a six-man type, I still like Montrezl.
Really good six-man type. I don't think he's going to get the bag, although he got caught with a different bag back a couple weeks ago. We'll see what that legal situation kind of, if it comes to the forefront.
Felony drug charge a few weeks back. We'll see if that impacts his market. May have to let that legal situation play out. Too many legal situations in Charlotte this offseason. All right, like the video if you want your team to make the playoffs next season. I mean, if you're not liking it, I guess you don't have a favorite team, because don't you always want to be in the playoffs? Hit that thumbs up icon if you want that to be the case. Goran Dragic, who I believe is going to end up in Dallas eventually. Mark Stein reported on Thursday night that the Mavs are going to focus on front court and wing depth and then probably circle back to Dragic. Well, they added JaVale McGee, so I think that probably pretty much wraps up their front court. Maybe they add a wing, but I think Dragic on the minimum to Dallas makes sense.
On the minimum would be awesome. Slovenian buddies with Luka Doncic. He was sent to the Toronto Raptors to open up an opportunity for the Heat to sign Lowry to that big deal. Didn't play with Toronto, goes to Brooklyn. He was really just okay. Really good backup point guard, though.
Derrick Jones Jr., a freak athlete. Never has really put it all together. Played fairly well last year, though. I think an athletic guy off the bench could be intriguing for a few teams.
Yeah, for sure. He's really springy, and the three-point shot has never come along. Highlights in the dunk contest, man. He's certainly a high flyer, but somewhat limited as well. A lot of buzz around Carmelo Anthony maybe going back to the New York Knicks. They have not closed that door. Can you imagine? And I thought Steeps made a good point here. Carmelo Anthony playing with Derrick Rose. We're turning the clocks back about a decade. That would be fun for about a year.
Melo's still fairly efficient the last few years of his career.
Especially shooting the ball from outside.
He's added a three-point shot late in his career.
His defensive intensity has ramped up a little bit, too.
Still not great there.
Which has allowed him to extend his career.
Yeah, we'll see where Melo ends up. Be sure to subscribe and join us, because our Day 2 free agency coverage is ongoing. Chase and I are live. We're going to be live for a while. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Don't go anywhere, as we have you covered throughout NBA free agency here at Chat Sports.